Welcome. In this video, we're exploring how two personality types may interact in a romantic relationship through the lens of MBTI personality theory. We'll look at the strengths they might naturally bring out in each other, the challenges they may encounter, and the ways they can grow together. Keep in mind that MBTI describes personality preferences, not fixed rules, and it can't predict whether a relationship will succeed or fail. Every person is unique, and every relationship is shaped by far more than personality alone. Think of this as a tool for self-understanding and reflection, rather than absolute truth. With that in mind, let's get started. ENFPs often approach life with a sense of possibility, eagerly exploring new ideas, experiences, and connections that spark their imagination. Guided by extroverted intuition, they naturally see multiple paths forward and enjoy discovering unexpected opportunities wherever they look. Their supporting introverted feeling helps them remain connected to their personal values, encouraging them to pursue relationships and experiences that feel meaningful and authentic. In relationships, they often express affection through curiosity, encouragement, and enthusiastic support for the people they care about. They usually enjoy conversations that wander into dreams, possibilities, and personal growth, creating an atmosphere where ideas can flourish. While they often embrace spontaneity, they also value emotional sincerity and relationships that allow both people to grow as individuals. ENFP and ENFP relationships often feel like two people giving each other permission to be completely themselves. Both partners naturally approach life with curiosity, enthusiasm, and a desire to explore possibilities rather than settle into routines too quickly. Conversations tend to jump effortlessly from one topic to another, ideas build on ideas, and time can disappear without either person noticing. Because they process the world in remarkably similar ways, they often feel understood very early in the relationship. That sense of familiarity can create an immediate connection, but sharing the same personality preferences also means sharing many of the same blind spots. The strengths that bring two ENFPs together can, over time, become the very areas that require the most awareness. Understanding how their shared cognitive preferences interact helps explain why this relationship can feel both incredibly energizing and occasionally surprisingly difficult. Much of the initial attraction comes from their shared use of extroverted intuition, the cognitive function that constantly looks for possibilities, patterns, and new experiences. When two people both naturally think this way, conversations rarely feel forced. Instead of exchanging facts, they explore ideas. One question leads to another, stories branch into entirely different subjects, and both people enjoy seeing where the conversation goes, rather than where it was supposed to go. Many other personality pairings eventually grow tired of this style of discussion, but another ENFP usually joins in enthusiastically. Rather than wondering why the conversation has wandered so far from its original point, they're already adding another interesting connection. That creates a feeling of intellectual freedom. Neither partner feels pressured to think in a more structured or conventional way, and both often appreciate having someone who seems just as excited by imagination as they are. Their shared preference for introverted feeling also contributes to the attraction, although it's often less obvious at first. Beneath their energetic exterior, many ENFPs care deeply about authenticity. They generally want relationships that feel emotionally genuine rather than simply socially successful. Because both partners tend to value sincerity, they often reveal personal thoughts and values relatively early compared to some other personality types. They appreciate vulnerability when it feels genuine, and that can create emotional closeness surprisingly quickly. Each partner may also admire the other's enthusiasm. Watching someone pursue creative ideas with genuine excitement is often inspiring for an ENFP, especially when that excitement feels authentic rather than performative. Of course, similarities can also create early misunderstandings. Because both partners are naturally expressive and interested in many different people, one or both may occasionally misinterpret friendliness. An ENFP's warmth is often broad rather than exclusive. During the early stages of dating, that can sometimes create uncertainty about romantic intentions if expectations haven't been discussed openly. Another early challenge is that both people often enjoy imagining future possibilities. It's easy for two ENFPs to spend hours talking about future adventures, creative projects, places they might live, or dreams they hope to pursue together. While these conversations are exciting, they don't always reflect practical plans. Sometimes both partners mistake shared excitement for shared commitment before they've actually built a stable relationship. Individual maturity plays an important role here. Some ENFPs naturally balance excitement with realism, while others may become so energized by possibility that they unintentionally move faster emotionally than the relationship itself has developed. Part 2. Strengths together. Once the relationship becomes established, one of its greatest strengths is the atmosphere the couple creates together. Two ENFPs often build relationships where both people feel encouraged to grow rather than remain the same. Instead of asking, "Why are you changing?" they're more likely to ask, "What new direction are you excited about now?" That flexibility allows both partners to evolve without feeling confined by rigid expectations. Communication is often another strength, because both partners naturally enjoy discussing ideas, emotions, future plans, and personal values. Conversations rarely become purely transactional. Daily life doesn't have to revolve around schedules and responsibilities alone. Even ordinary moments can become interesting discussions about books, philosophy, hobbies, travel, or hypothetical situations. Their shared use of introverted feeling also creates an unusual kind of emotional validation. Rather than immediately trying to solve emotional problems, ENFPs often begin by understanding what an experience means personally. They usually respect individual emotions, even when they don't completely agree with the conclusions behind them. As a result, both partners often feel accepted for who they genuinely are, rather than who they're expected to become. This emotional acceptance can make the relationship feel psychologically safe. Both people are often comfortable discussing hopes, fears, insecurities, and personal beliefs without feeling judged. Daily life also tends to remain interesting. Neither partner usually has much difficulty suggesting new activities. One person proposes trying a new restaurant, the other suggests a weekend road trip instead, and suddenly they're researching places they've never visited before. Even ordinary errands can become adventures simply because both partners enjoy novelty. Their creativity also makes them effective teammates when working on projects they genuinely care about. Brainstorming sessions often generate numerous ideas because both partners naturally expand upon each other's thinking instead of limiting it too early. When challenges arise, both are often willing to reconsider old assumptions and explore alternative solutions rather than becoming locked into a single approach. Another overlooked strength is optimism. While optimism can certainly become unrealistic if left unchecked, it also provides resilience. Two ENFPs often encourage each other to keep trying after setbacks instead of immediately assuming failure. When balanced with practical action, that shared optimism helps them recover from disappointments without losing sight of long-term possibilities. Part 3. Biggest Challenges. Interestingly, many of this pairing's biggest difficulties come from having too much of the same cognitive preference rather than too little. Their shared reliance on extroverted intuition means both partners constantly notice new possibilities. While exciting, this can make consistency surprisingly difficult. Plans change frequently. New interests appear before old ones are finished. One exciting opportunity replaces another. If neither partner naturally enjoys maintaining routines, everyday responsibilities can gradually pile up. Neither person necessarily wants to handle budgeting, scheduling, paperwork, or household organization. And because both may postpone those tasks in favor of something more stimulating, practical stress can quietly accumulate. The challenge isn't laziness, it's that both minds are naturally drawn toward what feels mentally engaging rather than what simply needs to be completed. Their shared introverted feeling creates another interesting dynamic. Although ENFPs are emotionally expressive in many ways, they often process their deepest emotions internally before discussing them. They usually want others to understand how they feel without having those feelings analyzed or dismissed. When both partners withdraw into their own emotional processing at the same time, misunderstandings can last longer than either intends. Each person may quietly wait until they've sorted through their own emotions before reopening the conversation. Unfortunately, if both are waiting simultaneously, neither takes the first step. Conflict itself can also feel uncomfortable. Many ENFPs genuinely value harmony in close relationships. They often prefer preserving emotional connection over winning arguments. That sounds positive, but it sometimes leads to avoiding difficult conversations until frustrations become harder to ignore. Instead of discussing small disappointments early, both partners may focus on maintaining a positive atmosphere. Eventually, those unspoken frustrations still exist. They've simply had more time to grow. Decision making can become another recurring issue. Because both naturally see multiple possibilities, reaching a final decision isn't always easy. Choosing a vacation destination, deciding where to live, selecting a career path, or even planning the weekend can become unexpectedly time consuming because both people continue discovering additional options. The relationship can occasionally become stuck in exploration without enough movement toward execution. Their shared use of extroverted thinking, which appears later in the ENFP cognitive stack, also contributes here. When practical organization finally becomes unavoidable, both partners may suddenly become intensely focused on solving everything at once. This can create bursts of productivity, followed by periods where organization gradually slips again. Neither partner necessarily enjoys maintaining external systems consistently, even though both appreciate the benefits once those systems exist. Stress also deserves attention. Under significant pressure, ENFPs sometimes become unusually focused on details, mistakes, and rigid control as they rely more heavily on their least preferred cognitive processes. If both partners experience this simultaneously, the relationship may briefly feel much less spontaneous than usual. Instead of encouraging each other's creativity, they may become unusually critical of themselves or each other. Again, maturity matters considerably. Not every ENFP responds to stress in exactly the same way, and life experience often teaches healthier ways of recognizing these patterns before they become relationship problems. Part 4. Making it work. For this relationship to thrive over the long term, both partners usually benefit from learning that inspiration and consistency don't have to compete with each other. The excitement that defines the beginning of the relationship remains valuable, but sustainable relationships also require dependable habits. Fortunately, because both partners understand why routines feel difficult, they can approach structure as something that supports their freedom rather than limits it. Simple systems often work better than highly detailed ones. Instead of trying to organize every aspect of life perfectly, creating a few reliable routines can provide enough stability to keep everyday responsibilities from becoming overwhelming. Communication also benefits from intentionality. Because both partners naturally enjoy positive interactions, they may need to remind themselves that discussing disappointment doesn't threaten the relationship. In fact, honest conversations often strengthen the trust they're both seeking. Learning to express concerns before they become major frustrations allows their shared empathy to become an advantage instead of arriving too late. This pairing also grows stronger when both individuals continue developing independently. Two ENFPs often enjoy doing many things together, but maintaining separate interests, friendships, and personal goals prevents the relationship from relying exclusively on shared excitement. That independence creates new experiences to bring back into the relationship rather than expecting the relationship itself to provide constant novelty. This pairing often thrives in environments that allow flexibility, creativity, and shared exploration. They tend to enjoy relationships where curiosity is welcomed, personal growth is encouraged, and neither person feels pressured into becoming someone they're not. They may struggle more in situations requiring prolonged predictability, highly structured routines, or constant attention to practical details without opportunities for creativity or change. That doesn't mean such circumstances are impossible, only that both partners may need to work together more intentionally to maintain balance. As with any personality pairing, experience, emotional maturity, communication skills, and shared values usually influence long-term success far more than personality type alone. In conclusion, an ENFP and ENFP relationship is often built on curiosity, authenticity, and a genuine enthusiasm for discovering life together. Their shared cognitive preferences allow both partners to feel understood in ways that can be refreshing, creating conversations filled with ideas, emotional honesty, and encouragement to keep growing. At the same time, those same preferences can reinforce familiar blind spots. Practical responsibilities, difficult conversations, and consistent follow through may require more conscious effort because neither partner naturally prioritizes them. When both people learn to balance imagination with reliability and openness with direct communication, this relationship can combine emotional warmth with lasting growth. Personality preferences help explain the patterns two ENFPs may naturally fall into, but they never determine the outcome on their own. Every relationship is ultimately shaped by the choices, habits, and commitment of the two people building it together.